now an author, so I'm just going to really pleased, and he's an Exeter lad as well, so we want to give him a bit of support. I'm just going to give Scott just a brief mention. He's here, the books are here. If you have a copy or want a copy and get one signed, it will be worth 10p more or less. I'll let you just say a few words.
Thanks, Rob, and it's really great to be here. Really appreciate Rob welcoming me to come along and say hello. It was 2009 when social media kind of began to take off in the city of Exeter. I had the distinct pleasure of hosting the first tweet up in the city, actually, which was in 2008. And it's great to see all these years later stuff like Digital Exeter and Tech Exeter kicking ass and doing a really great job. So it's very special to be here. I've been blogging about engagement for years. When social media first started happening, I was itching around and really curious about what is it about social media that's so exciting? What is it about this ability to connect to people and chat to people who are who are running big companies, or someone who's famous, or someone who happened to be in that movie that you saw years ago, and you can now chat to them individually. Like recently I got to chat to Perry Gilpin, who plays Roz in Frasier. I mean, how cool. It's just so cool that you can do this stuff today. And I was scratching around wondering, what is it about this stuff that's so interesting? I got to speak to Stephen Fry back when he wasn't, no one had 1 million followers or whatever. And so I started playing around with ideas and started blogging about it, and living in Exeter I got to meet lots of great people and we chatted about stuff, and 8 years later I'm stuck with playing with those ideas. I got stacks full of notebooks and as Rob said, managed to get it all written up into a book. And so I'm kind of very pleased to be able to be here and have an Exeter launch event for the book. Been able to go to a few places internationally, which is great fun. But it's nothing like home. And I live in Plymouth now, but I'm an Exeter lad. Hate Argyle. Yeah, that's the real test, that's the real test. Hate Argyle. We all ate Argyle. Ate us. We ate Argyle. That's the chant that we. None of you SSC fans, are you? We ate Argyle and we ate Argyle. We ate Argyle. Anyone else? No? It doesn't matter who Exeter plays, we always would chant about how much we hated Plymouth Argyle. My favourite moment was when it used to be the cowshed, which doesn't exist anymore, but the cowshed used to be where you would stand up. There was no, you could stand up. And every match, no matter who we played, there'd always be a moment where they would sing, "Sit down if you hate Argyle," and everybody in the cowshed would sit down. Of course, you weren't happy sitting down on that floor. It was cold and covered in vomit and cigarette butts and things. I mean, back in the good old days, when football really was a family sport. So anyway, I digress. If you work with engagement in any way, and in my research I found that people use the word engagement, we've heard it a lot this evening, though very seldom do people really kind of know what that word means. It ends up being a bit of a buzzword. So if you do work in engagement, you'll find this book very helpful. It's 7 shapes that explains how engagement works in a strategic sense and in a tactical sense. And I'm very honoured to have some really great reviews on the back, which I will not miss the opportunity to read one of which. So this is one of my favourites. This is from Marshall Manson, who's CEO of Ogilvy PR UK. And it's very humbling that I have such a person endorsing. He said, "This book is a tidy package of thinking frameworks and practical advice where the Clue Train Manifesto articulates the core principle that markets and our conversations still provides the roadmap for making those conversations meaningful." To be compared to the Clue Train Manifesto, if you know what it is, it's kind of like, I pretty much can die and be happy now. So anyway, I've rambled on too much. Thank you very much for having me. I will be out there to sign books and sell a couple. I don't really intend to do that, but I'll be happy to do so because you're great. Rob, thank you very much for having me. It really is a privilege to be here. And these guys have done a great job over the years. I think they deserve a good round of applause. There we go.
Swap microphones around just to keep you on the test. Thank you very much. And as I've said before, and those that don't know, that like mine's 2009, I think it was 2009, wasn't it? Yes, really instrumental in my life and in sort of introducing me to this cool thing called Twitter. Because I'd been on Twitter for 6 months and didn't know what to do with it. And then I found somebody that was on Twitter, and then they said, oh, there's this thing called Like Minds, and the first one, Like Minds, was just organised on Twitter. And it was just cool. And I have to say, I remember sitting there with the Twitter wall, which nobody does anymore because they're totally distracting. Because we don't have a Twitter wall because everybody would be watching that and paying no attention to me. But then I remember when Stephen Fry said hello, Like Minds, and everybody went nuts. And the poor old speaker, I can't remember, lost the audience at that point. So.